Welcome to Google Drive 101 for Google Camp in Hamilton College. First of all, it doesn't matter what device you're using. If you're using the apps on the iPad, if you're using a Chromebook, if you're using a desktop, it doesn't matter. It helps if you're in Google Chrome as your browser, but again, you don't have to. If you just go to Google, and this is the Google homepage, you want to make sure that you sign in to Google. So you need to have a Google or a Gmail account. And so this is really easy to establish. You can do that. It takes about 2 seconds. So I'm going to log into my Google account. And then up here, there's some things. First of all, this right here will show me that that's my profile picture so that I know that I'm logged in. This right here enables you to share some stuff in Google Plus, which would be, a different Google session. This tells me how many unread notifications I have in Google Plus. This is called the Waffle. And this is not part of Google Drive, but in the Waffle, this is where you can find Google Drive, which is right here, and I'll get to that in a minute. If you want to search images, go to your Gmail, and then this just reminds me that it's me that's logged in. So if you want to look really quick, if you haven't set a profile picture, this way you know that it's you. All right, so there's a couple ways to find Google Drive. If you're on a Chromebook, it will be down at the bottom. It's the triangle. If you are not, then you just go to the Waffle, click on your triangle for Drive, and then up pops your Drive. All right, so I'm going to go through this really kind of piece by piece. Again, this is your drive, so it should say My Drive. All right, if you do the drop-down menu, there's some things that I'll get to in a minute. So in here, this is your drive. If somebody says that they shared something with you, it's going to be right in there, shared with me. Now, it could also say incoming, depending on which version of Google Drive you have. Recent is a good way to see the documents that you've just made instead of searching, through them. If you've starred things or if you want to look through your trash, that's all of this. These are the names of all of your folders. This is what this looks like as a folder. And then these are files, and I'll get to what all these different colored things mean. This tells me who actually created it. So for example, in these, I created it, but in this one, somebody else created that folder and it's owned by them. So they're the ones that are able to set the privileges of that, unless they give you that ability to do that. It tells you when it was last modified. And ways that you can change that is you can go so that the last modified thing is at the top, last edited by me, last opened by me, or name. And I usually have mine sorted by name, but you don't have to. And then the file size, these are folders, so that's why it's not going to tell you the file size. The file size, once you get down to these documents, if it's pretty big, it's going to tell you that it's big. And then you don't really have to worry about that. All right, if you want to search for something in Drive, you just click up here, and if I type in something that I'm looking for, it gives me everything that's in my Drive that has that name in it. So that way is an easier way to search for it as well. All right, so you want to create something. My suggestion to you first is to create a folder and then name it. So for an example, I have my AP Gov folder. And then inside my AP Gov folder, I have more folders. And depending on what the folder is for, I have shared it with, you can tell right here because it's got this right here, that I have shared it with somebody or somebody's. And we'll get into sharing in a minute. But you can also have, different files in here. The reason I suggest that you make a folder is because you can set the privileges on that folder. So for example, this AP Gov shared folder is set to share with all of my kids in my AP Gov class so that when I create a document in there, it automatically takes on the privileges that I set. So I don't have to keep sharing it every single time. And since I have 35 kids in there, I would have to type in 35 email addresses, and that's just a pain, unless I just want to give them the link. But this way, everything is automatically shared with them. All right, so if I'm in my AP Gov, and this will tell you the trail. So if I were to go into there, you can see that it adds the trail to it. And so that you can always go back that way if you didn't want to hit the back arrow. And then this way, you always know you're in your Drive. So if you want to create something, you go to New, And again, I would create a folder first, but you don't have to. You can always move things later. And I'll explain that in a minute. So this blue is a Google Doc. That would be like your Word document. A Google Sheets is like an Excel document. Google Slides is like your PowerPoint. And then if you click on more, you get a lot more things down here. Google Forms is going to be like a survey or questions. I'll show you more about that in a minute. And then a couple of these I have in here because I have apps added. But Google Drawings is like, for an example, if you were to do something in Office in Publisher, that's kind of the same thing. And then Google My Maps, that's a pretty cool mapping thing. Lucid Chart, if you add that, that's going to do mind maps and graphic organizers and that type of thing. All right, so let's actually create something. I want to create a Google Doc. And then this is what will open. So this is what you're going to see. One of the first things you want to do is you want to title it. So I'll title this Google Drive 101. Click OK. And then if you'll notice up here, it says saving, and then it says all changes saved in Drive. That's one of the greatest things about Google Drive is everything automatically saves. And it saves to the cloud, which means you don't have to be on that same device in order to get it. You don't have to have a USB drive. You don't have to have a disk. You don't have to have the same computer. It's accessible from wherever you can get on the internet. I was talking about sharing earlier. Right now, this says it's private. It's only to me. But if I want to share it with somebody else, there's a couple different things I could do. If it's just one person, like I want to share it with myself at school, I can do that. And then I can choose, do I want to give that person editing privileges, commenting privileges, or can they just view it? And, based on the audience that you're sending it to, you have to make that decision. Now, there are advanced ways you can do this. So if you click on advanced, you can change who can see this beyond just sharing it. So do you want only to the specific people that you sent that to, anybody with the link that you give, or do you want to make it public on the web? Most things I make public on the web, and I don't want to, because I don't have to, I'm not doing anything that's got sensitive material in it or anything like that. And so that's why I put it public on the web. But this medium one is often the safest choice for you because it's like no risk, low risk, a little bit more medium risk for sharing sensitive data, because again, it is out on the internet. But the only way people can find it is if they know they're looking for it, or if somebody is, trying to troll, which it's not that big of a deal, but it depends, again, on the safety of what you're doing. So you just click save. And then down here, again, I've chosen that the person I'm sending it to can edit it. And it also tells me that I'm the owner. And then if you want to share, back when we were doing the settings, you would send them this link, and then that way they would be able to, and that's probably how Katie's going to set up the documents for today. So then I click send and done. All right, so again, all changes saved in Drive. And then the rest of this basically works the way that your word processing programs would. You can print your file. If anybody ever sends you a document and you're not able to edit it, you can always make a copy of it, and then that puts it into your Drive, and that way you become the owner of it and you can actually edit it. So sometimes that's actually a great thing to do. If you're a GAF school, which is Google Apps for Education, the kids, if they're going to share something, they have to share it depending on what they're doing, obviously, because you want to be careful with that. They have to share it in two places. They have to share it like I just showed you, and then they have to go down here and publish to the web in order for that to actually be public so that people can see it. If you want to email collaborators that you've made some changes or whatever, you can do that, but they can also change. They can also see the revision history if they go through that. Seeing the revision history is a good tool if you have kids who are doing something and they're supposed to be collaborating and they want to, and you want to see who's done what and when. That's a great way to do that. All right, this is going to be the end of the first video, and then I will put up a second video.